What's important to remember in comparison contrast, sorry about that. What's important to remember in comparison contrast is not only you just have two items, like right now I'm in a gear shift, but I'm gonna look at drive and neutral, but also what they're both connected to. So this is part of the gear shift, that's part of the car, right? That's important to make those connections. But back to basics, when you're comparing and contrasting, remember you're only looking at two items. I know there's four here, but focus on two at a time, and just remember what they're connected to. If you're like, they're here, they are, right? But what they both are always gears. So what they're connected to is the gear shift where I was telling you about. So if you're ever struggling, like, what do those two things have in common? They have to have something in common if you're comparing them. Otherwise, why would you bother comparing them? So their commonality already is that they're gears, okay? And remember, that's connected to the vehicle. So your analysis kind of will rest on the differences. However, when you're talking about the differences, you will inevitably have to talk about how they're the same, but they're going to go about it in a different way. For example, you're in neutral. It means your vehicle is not going to, there's no force for it to go forward nor backwards, right? So it would probably just stay there unless it's on a hill or something, then it'll roll, right? But there's no force inside of the engine at all to make it go either way. That's for neutral. Whereas, see that transition word, and that's different from, that's like a traditional phrase. What's different from the drive, and the drive would be there is a force making the vehicle go forward. That's the difference. So the similarities are gear shifts. They affect, the movement of the vehicle, but the difference is it really won't go anywhere because without any force, unless it's on a hill or something. And for drive, there's going to be power to go forward. So those are important components for comparison contrast. Like, for example, for Pincoli's Estes, you're kind of working with the individual versus group, right? So, but what do they have in common? Like the gear shift. So when you're focusing on a conflict, whatever the conflict is what's in common. Like maybe it's about, like what to believe about a higher power or not. That's faith. And so that's like the gearbox, if so to speak. And then how are they different? How does one choose to see it? And what does that do for the person, just like it does for the car? I hope that was helpful. Remember to write on the discussion boards if you have any questions. Thanks, everybody.